Warm Russian piroshki filled with apples always bring back wonderful childhood memories to me. My mother used to make these with freshly picked fall apples, and the aroma would waft through a house and you'd instantly know there was something delicious in the oven. This is really a great recipe. It's like the Russian version of apple pie, just served in smaller pocket-sized pouches. Now I like to add cranberries to my recipe for a little bit of an extra kick. I'll walk you through this simple recipe and it's sure to become a wonderful hit with everybody this fall season. For my piroshki recipe, I like to use a sweet yeast dough. What we're gonna need is a cup and a half of milk and a tablespoon of yeast. I'm gonna warm this milk either in the microwave or on the stovetop until it's lukewarm, and then we're gonna add our yeast and let it dissolve. Now we're gonna add a tablespoon of dry active yeast to our warm milk. We're just gonna sprinkle it on top, and we're gonna let it set for about 5 minutes until that yeast is completely dissolved. Once our yeast is dissolved, we're just gonna give it a quick stir, and we're actually gonna pour it into a larger bowl. And then we can add the remaining of our ingredients. So we're gonna pour in our milk and our yeast. And then we're gonna add 3 tablespoons of melted butter. We're gonna add a few tablespoons of canola oil, and you can just eyeball it. We're gonna add half a teaspoon of salt, and then we're gonna add half a cup of white granulated sugar. We're also gonna need 1 egg, and keep it at room temperature so that everything is the same temperature when you put it in there. And then we're gonna give this all a quick whisk. So our whisk mixture should be smooth and uniform, and then we can start adding our flour. And I like to add half a cup of flour at a time. That way you can whisk it in all together, and then you don't add too much flour, and then you don't want your dough to become too tough. So we're gonna continue to add our flour. We're gonna continue to whisk it until the consistency of the dough becomes too thick, and then we're just gonna switch over and we're gonna start using our hands. Now we're gonna go ahead and turn our dough out onto our work surface, and we're going to continue to knead it and add a little bit more flour. And you want your dough to be pretty soft. You don't want to be too tough. Just pull everything together. So I've been kneading my dough for a few minutes, and you can see how beautifully it's come together. It's perfect. Now what we're going to do, we'll return it to our bowl, and we need to let this proof for 1 hour. We're going to cover it with a towel, and it's going to double up in size. It's gonna be ready for our piroshki. Now that I have my dough rising, I'm gonna go ahead and prepare my filling. We're gonna need 2 cups of fresh cranberries, and I've placed them into a large saucepan that we're gonna use to cook our filling down. We're also gonna need 6 medium-sized apples. I'm gonna peel and then chop these up as well. And then we're gonna need 1 cup of white granulated sugar, a tablespoon of cornstarch, a teaspoon of cinnamon, and half a teaspoon of nutmeg that we're gonna stir around, and then we're gonna add this at the end when we start cooking our sauce down. So I brought over my pan over to the stovetop, and I've tossed together the apples, the cranberries, and then the sugar, cinnamon, cornstarch mixture. And we're gonna cook this over a medium heat, and we want those apples to become nice and soft. And the aroma from this filling is amazing. I love the smell of cinnamon and nutmeg cooking down. And our filling is almost done, and you can see the cranberries have popped open, and it gives the filling a nice red color, and our apples are nice and soft. Now we're gonna go ahead and remove this from the stovetop. We want it to cool down just a little bit before we start filling our piroshki. Now I have everything ready to shape our piroshki. I've made my filling and it's cooled slightly, and I also greased a large baking sheet with oil, so it'll be perfect for setting our piroshki onto. Now our piroshki head dough has doubled in size. We're gonna go ahead and punch it down, and we're gonna turn it out onto our work surface. Just gonna lightly flour this, turn it out. We're gonna knead it for just about a minute, and then we can divide it into 16 equal pieces and start shaping our piroshki. Now I'll show you how to shape the piroshki. We're gonna take one piece of our dough, and I've divided the dough into 16 pieces, and we're gonna roll it out in a nice circle. This one's sticking to my rolling pin. We're gonna just flour the rolling pin real quick. There you go. Okay. And make sure that it stays nice and circular. Now we're gonna add our filling. We're gonna add a generous amount of filling down the center of our dough, just like that. And one more tablespoon. And then we're gonna work our dough together. We're gonna pinch the seams up at the top, and then we're gonna just quickly work our way down the other side. And we're gonna go down the other side now. And try not to get the filling on the seams, because then it's really hard to pinch together. You just really work the dough together. Just really pinch it together. And you want to bring the ends up just a little bit so that filling doesn't leak out of the side. And now we're going to go ahead and place it on our greased baking sheet. Once we have our piroshki shaped, go ahead and turn on your oven to 350 degrees, but we're not gonna put the piroshki in the oven yet. We're gonna brush them with a simple egg wash, and I have one egg here beaten very well with just a touch of water, and we're gonna brush that on just gently. And then we're gonna let these piroshki sit for another hour until they've almost doubled in size, and then we're gonna bake them. I have my oven at 350 degrees, and we're gonna bake them anywhere from 15 to 18 minutes, and we're gonna gauge the readiness by the color on the top. They should be nice and golden brown, and then they're ready to be taken out of the oven. And these smell so amazing, and they look so beautiful. That golden brown color, and the piroshki turned out perfect, just the way you want them to look. So we're gonna go ahead and take these off onto a cooling rack, and we want them to cool just a little bit before we bite into them, because they will get very hot while they're in the oven. I'm so happy with how my piroshki turned out. They smell so amazing, and they look perfect with that golden brown color, just the way we want them. I love to have my piroshki with a cup of Russian black tea, and I'll cut into one of them so you can see what they look like inside. Just take a knife, and of course you want to wait until they're cooled down just a little bit, because they get really hot in the oven. And you can see that nice red color from the cranberries and the apples and cinnamon, and they smell so good. This is what reminds me of fall, and it's perfect. I love this flavor combination. Now, if you like this video and you want to see more videos, just subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you'll get updates whenever I post new videos. And you can find recipes like this one on my website as well.